Okay, I need you all to listen very carefully. We all know Israel passed their maniacal legalization of Palestinian murder via hanging. This decision has been universally condemned by practically the entire world, except for the usual suspects, the United States of Israel, to which they declined to join the international condemnation, and they even responded to say that they respect Israel's sovereign right to determine its own laws, which is a pretty fresh take considering Israel seems to have a sovereign right to determine United States laws as well. This should come as no surprise to anyone considering the U.S. has shackled itself to the demonic evil that is Israel, because the U.S. is also inherently demonically evil. You can literally see it in their track record of all their demonically evil votes at the UN, with every bloody-handed U.S. veto of a ceasefire so that Israel can continue the genocide of the Palestinians, to practically every single UN vote where Israel and the U.S. are almost always in lockstep as the only two consistently voting against anything that advances humanity for the better. Israel and the U.S. were two of the three countries on the entire planet that voted against a resolution calling slavery a crime against humanity. Israel and the U.S. are the only two countries on earth that have consistently voted against the resolutions recognizing food as a fundamental human right. Israel and the United States are two of the three countries on the entire planet that voted against preventing and ending the use of torture, where they claim that torture is a legal right. Israel and the United States are the only two countries that consistently vote against recognizing Palestinian statehood. They're the only two countries that vote against a resolution demanding Israel and its unlawful presence in the occupied West Bank and Gaza. And get this, Israel and the United States are two of a select few countries in the entire planet that voted against the condemnation of the glorification of Nazism, meaning they voted in favor of the glorification of Nazism. You know, because they are both worse than Nazis themselves, and all they want is to be glorified. And speaking of UN votes, did you know that in 1975, the United Nations passed a resolution with a resounding 72-35 vote, stating that Zionism is a form of racism? And guess who was one of the few to strongly oppose this? Yup. You guessed it, the United States of Israel. In fact, the U.S. led the fight against this resolution, to which they championed its repeal in 1991. So what's my point here? Well, one, fuck the United States government and every administration that's ever served this country, from the Democrats to the Republicans. We all know that from this point forward, every vote with Israel brings you closer to the end of your empire. So the joke's on you. But two, I wanted to give you an update as to why, regardless of what the U.S. thinks, international pressure on this latest demonic vote to legalize Palestinian murder via hanging will overturn this genocidal legislation. Let me give you the facts. Following the passage of the legislation on March 30th, 2026, the Association for Civil Rights in Israel and several opposition lawmakers announced that they have petitioned Israel's highest court to challenge the law. The appeal argues that the law is discriminatory by design, unconstitutional, and enacted without legal authority regarding its application to Palestinians in the West Bank. And legal experts around the world, inclusive of Israeli ones, are predicting that the Israeli Supreme Court will strike down this law due to its blatant apartheid nature. But here is where I need you to listen very intently. Israel, liberal Zionists, Western politicians, and Western news media will now begin to frame this through their predictable bad apples bullshit while trying to amplify their morality, framing it as just a few right-wing batshit crazy extremists in their democratically elected Israeli government, so that once the Israeli Supreme Court denies this law, they will expect the whole world to celebrate and rejoice because Israel has the morality to strike down this law. It's already started, where one of Israel's leading legal experts, Mordecai Kremnitzer of the Israel Democracy Institute, says that the Supreme Court is likely to strike down the law as it conflicts with both universal morality and Jewish morality. So let's call a spade here. Israel has no morality. Their Jewish supremacy has no morality. The majority of the Israeli protesters you see in the streets of Tel Aviv as they hold their Israeli Nazi flags, claiming to protest their government's actions, is not because they care for Palestinians' lives, freedom, or sovereignty. It's because they care about perception. They care about the illusion that has allowed them to survive as a terrorist entity for as long as they have. They are protesting the fact that Netanyahu and his government exposed Israeli society for what it is to the entire world. And now they are trying to save face through an illusion of newly founded morality and humanity so that you can cheer them on while they're featured all over the news. Ever wonder why Palestinian protests are never televised while Israeli protesters are all over Western news media? Illusion. The simple fact that a majority of their democratically elected government, meaning the majority of their people voted for them to be in their seats of power and influence, agreed to pass this law, with 70% of their entire society in favor of it, tells you everything you need to know. And the simple fact that the Israeli justice system has a 96 to 99% conviction rate for Palestinians versus a 1.8 to 3% conviction rate for Israeli settlers' crimes against Palestinians in the West Bank, with an even lower conviction rate of 1 to 1.5% for Israeli soldiers' crimes against Palestinians, also should tell you everything you need to know about this apartheid ethno-state. So yes, go ahead and celebrate if the law is struck down, because it just slightly slows down the genocide we're all still witnessing. But don't you fucking dare celebrate the law being struck down on the basis of Israeli morality. Do not let them hypnotize you. Israel is a delusional illusion that must be erased from existence and memory. Period.